welcome back to week 3 of Technical Tip Tuesday for this month. Our special friends over at AG Pro Training are sponsoring all month long. And man, have we been just hitting it off at the start. I don't know how we're going to top this week. My special guest is Alexandra Gualtieri. She is the owner of AG Pro Training. Welcome back, Alexandra.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, goodness, this is such a fun series. Like I mentioned to you before we ever hit record earlier, this is the first time we're talking about training and like having a plan and how to make this really stick for businesses and their teams. So this week, no surprise, another one that is going to just really set the tone for people watching this. We're talking about reinforcing training for real world performance. And while it sounds vague, I think it's extremely important. We kind of touched on this on episode 2, but the focus is a little bit more on that real world part of what we do every day. So, what should happen before and after classroom training to ensure that technicians are actually retaining their knowledge, but also, most importantly, applying the new skills that they have learned in the field and most importantly, improving their performance. I know we did talk about it a little bit last episode, but I think this one we're really going to be able to dive in. So, starting with retaining knowledge, how does that look to you in a perfect world, and where could we do better as an industry?
Sure. So one of the biggest misconceptions is that training starts when someone walks into the classroom and then it ends when they pass the exam. But in reality, the classroom is just one piece of the learning process. If we want better field performance and better customer outcomes, we have to think about what happens before and after training just as much as what happens during it. So I kind of frame this as the three P's: prepare, practice, and pass it on. Preparing for training is all about intention. Explain to your people why they're going to training. Don't just tell someone, hey, we're sending you to WRT next week. Tell them why you're investing in them. This immediately changes their mindset from it's a class my boss says I got to go to this is part of my career development here at the company. And then set some learning objectives. What do you want them to come back knowing? What challenges is the company currently facing that they could be helping with? What should they pay special attention to during class? These kinds of things prime their brain to learn. Another thing for preparing is removing distractions, and this is like an extra P to protect the learning experience. Avoid calls during class, turn off cell phones. Some companies will have their techs answer calls or emails during lunches and breaks, but I really recommend against doing that as much as possible, especially for the in-person classes. Some of the best learning doesn't happen during the presentation. It actually happens during breaks and lunch conversations and hearing how other restoration companies solve similar challenges. So encourage your people to participate, network, and learn from their instructors and classmates. And obviously, if it's a live stream class, make sure your people are in a quiet office space, not a busy lunchroom or conference room, so they're set up best for learning. So that was the first P, prepare. Second P, practice. After training, this is where a lot of companies will win or lose, and a lot of them skip this step. Make sure you debrief with your technician a few days after training. Ask them what they learned, ask them what surprised them, discuss how we can implement some of the things that they learned in their daily jobs and responsibilities. Reinforce that accountability in the field. This is the big missing piece for a lot of companies. Get those new skills applied really quickly. If someone comes back excited about a new technique or something they learned in class, find a way for them to use it while it's still fresh. Observe their performance in the field. Coaching and mentoring are really important. Have your experienced techs watch and mentor them. Give them feedback on what they're doing well, and then celebrate that improvement. I've never seen someone come back from a class and be instantly transformed into an expert, right? Pairing classroom learning with field coaching, it's the bridge that takes you from what you just learned to now what you know. That's how knowledge becomes confidence. Last P, so we did prepare, we did practice, pass it on, share the learning. One of the best ways to reinforce learning is to ask employees to teach one or two key takeaways to the rest of the team. Teaching forces people to organize their thoughts, it builds confidence, and it helps spread knowledge throughout the company. You could do something formal like toolbox talks or lunch and learns, but really just, Monday meetings. It helps your technician remember and it multiplies the investment throughout the company. Even if you have, a new guy who just went to WRT, he learned a couple of things, and everybody else in the team's been doing it for 10 years, still have him teach them what he learned. It's good for him and it's good for the other guys to get a refresher on some of the things maybe they already knew. Um, Second part of the question was how can we translate some of this into improved field performance? How do we know that training is working? It's more than just asking, did my team, did they pass the test? You can actually measure things like, are we getting better quality work? Fewer callbacks, fewer mistakes? Is the quality of our documentation improving? Better customer communication, reduced turnover. We talked about this in a previous question as well. The key lesson is that companies can get the greatest value from training by understanding that learning is not a single event, it is an ongoing process. So if people watching remember nothing else, remember the three P's: prepare, practice, and pass it on. And then the companies that consistently do those things, those are the ones that see classroom learning turn into better field performance, into higher quality work, and ultimately better customer experiences.
Yeah, no, really well said. I would definitely say we have to measure, we have to share, but most importantly, setting our team up for success when they're going into a training. I think that's where really you start to see success. If somebody's just going because you're telling them, to your point, well, what are they measuring? How do they know what they're supposed to come back with? Are they sharing things? Do they have pain points as a technician themselves that they should be focusing on? There's so many things that really help you and your business, but also your employees understand the importance of training. And I also think it's really cool because it allows them to come back and then share with the team and then they can problem solve and all that fun stuff. It's definitely a different way of looking at it, but I think it's much needed in this space. So, again, another quote unquote phenomenal week here with these technical tips. Thank you, Alexandra, so much for all of this. And for all of you watching, we will see you next week on our final tip of the month. Take care.